Hello, everyone. How's it going? It's Jen Hart, and I'm here today with Danielle Hankinson. First, I like to always just kind of check in and touch base with anyone who's watching. In case you don't know me, I am a connector, and I connect people and information together for purposes of spirituality and personal development with the intent of raising the overall conscious collective on the planet. And I also want to spread and bring more love, joy, possibility, and hope to the universe and to us. And so I like to bring on people that are working their heart and soul centered missions and share their information with you. Hopefully you will be able to connect either with people through the community or with the information. I'm always happy to hear what your thoughts are. So if you're watching this, let us know live or replay and say hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us. And so I want to talk about Danielle. Let me go first with a little bit about her, and then I'll talk about how we met. So Danielle is an Aussie transplant who has lived in Lake Tahoe, beautiful place, California, for 24 years. She is happily married with 2 daughters and has a photography business for 15 years now. She is also an intuitive business coach. Personally, she has been my intuitive business coach for not sure how long it's been, but for a significant amount of time in the last year. And she loves to empower women to connect their minds to their hearts and souls so that they can thrive in life, feeling fully integrated. She is a certified NLP master, hypnotherapist, and Reiki master, and she blends all of her expertise in her coaching and healing programs through her business, The Confident Soulpreneur. So I want to say, if you are a man and you are watching this, there is still information to be had out of sitting here and chilling with us. And yeah, I just like to say that because although her program, she works with women, she does also do healings with men. And we are going to talk about self-sabotage, which applies to everybody in their aspect of life. So how Danielle and I met is we are in the same coaching program. And I remember we were in a breakout room and in an event, and we just had one of those instant connections. And so we ended up messaging after, and I think I remember, and you were like, Danielle told me, did you feel like we had a connection? And I'm like, yes. And so we ended up just connecting and creating a relationship. And then she had become my intuitive business coach, and she has helped me so much. So let me bring her on. Yeah. What's up,
Hello.
I didn't even think about it. We should have changed your name, but that's okay. So this is Danielle Hankinson. And what my first question, Danielle, is what brought you to the work that you're doing today for others?
Yeah, so I've been working as a photographer for 15 years. And for the past 7 years, I've been a 6-figure business in the creative field, which is challenging. And when you are working anything where you're putting your soul and your heart out into the world, it's vulnerable AF and scary. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so I know from the photo industry and other things that often people undervalue themselves, or they're scared to charge what they should be charging. Because there's the general math of here's what the formulas are, whatever business you're in. And then there's this part in here. And that's where it gets icky, because you can say, well, I need to charge whatever the amount is. And then you might shoot a break and just no, I can't. For example, yesterday I made a sale in photography that was $7,000. That is a lot of money. And I had a feeling it was going to go that way from the client. So I made sure I was clean here so that if she did want to spend that much, I wasn't putting my negative jujus on it and stuff. So
when you say negative jujus, you're talking about the self-sabotage aspect.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, where you start to think I would never spend that, and you put your stuff on someone else's, in this case, money and experience, which really, a few years ago, I had a realization like, it's not my place to tell people what they can spend and what they can't spend. If they want to, and I have a service that they want to spend it in, then good. It's like, I remember a few years ago, and I was thinking about if it was my money, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, wait, it's not my money. How rude of me to put whatever's going on in me on someone else's experience. It was this total shift. I remember sitting on the sofa with a client later on going, wait, I'm putting my stuff on someone else, which is not cool. But in the relation to sabotage, I'll give you a condensed version of the story, and where this really came in was there was this time when I had a sale that I'd done. I had someone's beautiful wall art portrait, and I unwrapped it because quality control, checking it. And I'm sitting on the sofa and I'm looking at it, and it's stunning, and it's of someone's family. And I sat there for a bit and I zoned out a little bit. And then I'm like, and I was thinking, why do I sometimes start sabotaging when we get above $2,000 in sales? Like, I knew I was doing it. I had all the signals. So I'm staring at this wall portrait I'd created. I'm sitting in for a bit, and then all of a sudden it hit me. I'm jealous because the child part of me, I come from a family that was broken when I was 12. And so that child part of me was running the show because that part of me was still jealous of the happy families that I didn't feel that I had. And so then I was like, okay, this child of me is running my business when it comes to money. That's not cool.
No.
So then I did the inner work and that, and I got coaches and healers to help me. And so the realization is that sometimes there are parts of us that are running the show, whether it's in your business or your personal life, and we're not always aware of them. Like, we know something's off. Like, why do I keep doing X, Y, Z? You do the beat yourself afterwards. I just did it again. And there's usually something that's causing it, and it's generally in your subconscious mind. And you can do it on your own. You can go in there, but I have found through receiving this work and giving it to others, it's much easier when someone else is driving the bus for you, because our conscious mind, excuse me, is always there to protect, always. So, and it's always working. And society gives our conscious mind a lot of airtime. I think, and all this language that we use. And our subconscious mind is actually the one that's driving the bus, but we don't access it as often. And so to access it, as you know, Jen, sometimes it's difficult because your conscious mind keeps jumping in. So I will address it. Hey, I can tell your conscious mind wants to speak. And so I give it a task to do because it needs to be doing something, because it wants to make sure you're safe. Like, you don't go in if you don't feel safe. It's critical to be safe. And then you go in and then you start addressing, this is where it gets weird, as we know, the parts of ourselves. Like, we can have multiple parts, like sub-personalities or whatever, that are running the show and you don't know. And then you get to know them. And they can be really fun, right, Jen?
And she keeps saying this because we have done a lot of subconscious work, because I have identified a lot of patterns that have been holding me back from moving forward. And one thing I want to say is I've seen, there was a big conference last week with like a bunch of famous people, and all these, somebody had dropped I wasn't there, so I don't know who exactly said it, but the words were like, if whatever your desire is, there is action that you can take to get there, and you're not doing those actions, it's because you have a block. Mm-hmm. And the block comes from the subconscious mind. And we're not aware of it because we live on the conscious level, which is like 5%. And the subconscious mind runs 95%. And what Danielle is saying is that in society, we're not really taught to access the subconscious mind, how to access the subconscious mind. And that's where techniques like hypnosis, NLP, and parts work, also called inner child work, can all help you to access that. And her and I, as her as my coach and healer, have done so much of that work, and the results have been phenomenal. And I know, I always have something else that I can clean out. And because, like she was saying, it ends up being self-sabotage and you're just unaware. Like, you have no idea what's going on. And I'm like, why am I not moving forward? And it's frustrating. It's disappointing. It doesn't feel good. So that's why it's important, in my opinion, to find healers and coaches, or a healer and a coach together, to be able to work with them and see what some of your blocks might be. I did have a question for you. So you said that you were sitting on the couch of this family's house and you're like, I knew something was holding me back. For people who haven't, maybe they're new to personal development or exploring themselves and looking further within, how could they identify that something's holding them back? I mean, I just said that if you're not moving forward, that's one way, but
yeah, that's one. Or you have this language in your brain, in your conscious mind, oh shit, I did it again. Like, you're frustrated, like, or everything on paper looks good, like you kind of said, and you're not willing to take action. And you're just like, I don't want to. But logically, it makes total sense. You're like, why aren't I doing this? This makes all the sense in the world on the logic mind, and it does. But the subconscious mind is like, no, 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 no. And usually it's three things. It's sometimes there's a part of you that has a message that wants you to hear before you take the leap or take the move into something different, new. Or there's a part of you that needs to be healed. And so that's where, when with that, if I've had this where someone's part comes up and it needs healing, and then I'll do energy work on that part, and I'll clear off the energy and help do that. And then another time, another option is, you're not supposed to do whatever it is in the direction that you think you should be going. So it's like you need to do a U-turn or change directions. It's like, it's not right. So it's usually one of those three things is why you've got this freeze and you just can't move. And some of the language that I've seen out there is like, break down the walls of self-sabotage. And personally, from dealing with the parts of souls of selves, is the most horrible thing to hear, because it's like, sometimes our parts will come up like angry children, because they're trying to get our attention. And so that if we're not getting our attention, they'll get louder in some kind of negative way. So it could be anger, frustration, sadness, something that's intense enough to get your attention to take some action. So then if you're going to meet it with break down the walls, then it's like someone's hurting or needs help, and then you're just going to be mad at it. And the biggest thing, and I know we've done this, is when you're doing something that you don't like that you're doing, and you're like, I wish I didn't, or something, and it sounds weird, is you send it love and you thank it. It's hard to do, but you're like, wow, thanks, whatever part of me, and thanks for bringing this up. And you just shift into thankfulness. And because always when something shows up kind of in a negative emotion or a very intense, unpleasant emotion, when you get it healed and you hear its messages, because it has messages, then what happens is there's always magic behind it. Like, I've had things show up as like angry, mean, scary monsters for myself or others. And when I approach it, I'm always curious. I'm never like, oh, shit. It's like, oh, cool. So we need to be like a big, black, scary monster. That's all right. What's that about? And so you're curious and you're not judging. When you are receiving it, I know for myself, sometimes I am judging. I'm like, oh, I hate this. Oh, gosh. And that's where the outside person is able to keep the container into openness and kindness and love. And it's like, okay, cool. So you need to be this big, black, scary dude. That's cool. And sometimes I've even asked, what else would you rather be to this part? And it's like, oh, I want to be a fairy or a magical one person. So it's like, there's always something good behind it. So if it shows up as dark, I've done enough of these sessions with people that there's always something really good behind it. It's never, doesn't want to be that way, but it gets your attention when it shows up as something like in your body, in your mind, and you're like, okay, you've got my attention. They're like, well, cool. What would you rather be? So it's kind of.
Yeah, I love that. And if anyone hasn't done parts work, her and I have done a lot, and I've had a lot of different parts come up. I mean, a 5-year-old me, a 7-year-old me, a 20-year-old me, and like what I think that people want in life consciously currently is we want to be seen and heard. I feel like that's just the human nature. Subconsciously, your parts want to be seen and heard. So they will get louder and louder and louder. You might also know it as things that trigger you. So if somebody does something and you get really mad, there's a wound inside of you, a part inside of you that wants and needs to be seen and heard. And it needs just a little bit of love and care. And so that's what I love about Danielle is she goes with the curiosity, the exploration, the adventure, like, all right, let's see what happens, you know? And we've gone on some crazy adventures with my subconscious mind. And, but at the end, it always works out great. And they literally do just have a message for me, like, this is what I need. This is actually last night, one of my parts was talking. So now that I've done a lot of work, I can tap in and talk to them myself. I still prefer to have someone do the work on me, because when someone asks you and guides you through it, it's a completely different experience. But my part told me last night I wasn't taking care of myself. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, you know, and I gave it love, and I'll do better. And that was what my message was. So it's funny that like that came up last night, and then here we are today talking about self-sabotage. And it is self-sabotage for me, what my current experience is. And I'm happy to share this with people because I know I'm not the only one. It's around weight and eating and food choices. And that's what that message was, is like, you are not taking care of me, like me taking care of myself. And that is the perfect thing of self-sabotage, you know?
And just to interrupt, I got the psychic chills. So this is something when someone speaks their truth, because I am psychic or whatever it is, you know, I get a fear. Like there's many words. I don't know. I'll just use one.
Psychic, yeah.
But when you speak your truth, I get these chills in my body, and it's a signal to me that you're speaking your truth. So when you said that, I got the psychic chills. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this is true, Jen. Listen to that part of you.
Yeah. And I've realized this, like, I'm taking it a whole different way real quick, just for example purposes. But like, I have done all of these different diets and healing, and I've come a long way. But I still see like this relationship with food. And I did not know until probably a year, maybe mostly in the last year, that I'd never really realized that I had emotional eating until you and I and some other of my healer crew were doing work. And so now that I'm aware and I've identified it, I can start moving forward to, you know, work on this self-sabotage and make better choices. Because yes, consciously, like, actions and habits are a part of it. But if you don't deal with the subconscious work, it's like fighting this battle, and it's rubbing, like you said. It's like this part over here and you're breaking down the walls. That's what I thought of. It's like, that's when people are like, well, take the action and create the habits. And those can reprogram in time. Maybe not. And that's my personal opinion. But if you tap into the subconscious mind, you could get there quicker.
Like, yeah, like with the food, sometimes you make a food choice because this type of food is attached to an emotional feeling that makes you feel good. It may not be a healthy food. Like someone I worked with ages ago was like, eating popcorn made her feel like she was home with her family and she was living alone. So it's like the subconscious mind is always out for pleasure. I want to feel good. So it's like, cool, if I eat popcorn, I feel good. And your conscious mind is like, no, you shouldn't be eating all this junk or whatever. And popcorn can be healthy or not, depending what kind you get. But the person didn't want to eat the popcorn. And it's like, well, but there's a part of you that relates popcorn with feeling great. So then it's like, well, why would you want to give that up? So then you've got to reframe and change that out. And you can do hypnosis or something like, you can blend all of this in. So it's like, say it was popcorn, and then you're like, I don't want to eat popcorn.
Yeah.
So then you ask that part, hey, do you know that this, it's like sometimes even, do you know that this is not healthy for, say, Jen? And that part, Jen was like, no. I'm like, well, let's bring you up to speed. So it's like you're connecting with yourself. Like, and our parts of ourselves, we're always out for ourselves. So it's like, if we change it, that's where the leader person is helping. Like, hey, Jen's part, whatever, on the food. Well, what if we did this, this, and this, Jen will feel better. Do you think we can swap that? And generally the parts are yes. Sometimes they're no, and then we have to go a little deeper. And here's the one thing that's really fun with this. I've had some people, when we do what part of you wants to connect, and some people say nothing. And so then again, I don't fear it. It's like, cool, let's welcome in nothing. And then it turns into something. It's the funnest thing, because people are, I'm getting nothing. You're like, great, let's welcome nothing. And then we just
that's what I freaking love about you, is because whatever crazy comes up and whatever like comes out of my mouth, I mean, we've talked about some crazy, crazy stuff. It's like you are always super non-judgmental and just like it's a fun, good time. I mean, you hold space when space needs to be held.
Yeah,
so that is
sometimes. Yeah.
But yeah, it's always just like, okay, cool. Like, what's next? And I never feel like, oh my God, she's judging me or anything like that. So it's been a really fun and cool experience. And I just like to bring the awareness because I didn't know, no one talked about this when I was growing up. No one, not that I can remember, talked about it in school. And it wasn't until I started my own journey into, following, I have these huge, big dreams and visions. And I saw myself saying the same thing every year, over and over and over. And I'm like, what the F is going on? And that's when I started to do the personal work and I opened up to my spiritual journey. And that's when like the light bulb started going off and all these things made sense. And I was like, so this happened when I was a kid. And that's why this now. And so it's like releasing and cleaning out those things so that I can move forward and I can share my gifts with the world and I can create my vision and my mission and give back and do my part in changing the world. And that's why I want you to come on and share the work that you're doing. And you have an event coming up, which is specific to sales, which is important because a lot of people, they have a mission and soul-centered business, heart-centered business that they want to share with the world, which is their gifts. And then they stop and they're like the sales part might stop them. And what happens is it creates this ridge in the energy exchange, so like you said, both parties have to be clear. Someone's needing their service, but they have to be able to accept and receive the money for the exchange to happen. And it's taken me a lot of work, and I'm always still working on my money as well. Like I feel like every single aspect of my life has been revamped and is still like a work in progress. So tell us a little bit about the event and what it's going to be about.
Yeah, so it's next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, almost this time, 2 to 3 p.m. Pacific time.
And the dates are March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Yep, and we'll put the link in after this. But it's called Learn to Love Sales because, sales is scary. And so when you love it, it's much easier. So it's like learn to love sales, because I do now, didn't used to. And then I'll be giving you 3 secret hacks to overcome your fears so that you can charge what you're worth. And then on day 1, we'll be doing from, my brain just did a brain fart, like, on day 1, it'll be, it's still, okay, I'm going
to relationship with sales.
Yeah, I'm going to my website because I like it. Just there we go. All right. From limiting to limitless beliefs. Always a lot of beliefs and ideas around sales. I don't have enough customers. They don't want it. This person
has what I have. Other people already do it.
Yeah. There's a bazillion reasons that we use, which sabotages ourselves. So, and then how to reframe those into limitless beliefs. Yeah. So it's like there's a lot of stuff there. And then on day 2 will be a little guidance on how to access the part of you or parts of you that may be sabotaging you in sales in your business. So like how to get in there and how to do that. And then on the 3rd day, I'll be giving you like a sales script, like how to communicate and connect with people. Because basically, when you connect with somebody, like you said earlier, Jen, people want to be heard. And this client I did a $7,000 sale with yesterday, she chose me. We'd worked once before, but she said she'd called a different photographer in a different area. And she felt icky after the call because she wasn't asked. She was told this is what we do. And she was never asked. And she had a specific thing in mind. And then she met me and saw my work. She's like, this is exactly what I want. And then I photographed it exactly in the style that she told me she liked. So then it was easy for her to spend the money because I served her. And I only did that because I asked a lot of questions. And I'm like, can I do what she wants? And I could. So having like what questions to ask, then there is that transition part where all the yucky comes up in yourself when you go to, okay, so you want this from me, great. And then you go, and it's this much price. And then that's when your mindset or your heebie-jeebies come up. So it's like how to kind of work through that. So that's sort of what we'll be doing. Also, there will be a prize. So if someone shows up, it'll be on Zoom. And I will be giving away 1 free mini half-day session for someone who shows up. So you want to come and participate because you could win something. And that's where we go one-to-one and go in a little deeper and, see what's up with you and help you so you can do that. And then the training is free. And so that's coming up in a few days.
That's awesome. And seriously, you never told me about that prize, but like a half day with Danielle, that is, I don't even know what the value of that is, but I could tell you that is gold. So I would just show up, first of all, because you're going to get good information. But second of all, because now you can win this prize, like that's amazing. It's free and it's only an hour and the information that you're going to get out of it is going to be awesome. So it is for the probably the best target market are women who have a heart and soul centered mission and they are looking to improve their sales and do a little bit of deeper work and learn some tools and techniques. So the link is in the caption.
And I just put it in the comments too.
In the comments as well. And put your group in there too. So if for some reason you can't make the event, whatever the reason is, but you like what Danielle talks about, you like her vibe, you feel called, join her group. She posts all the time in there. She goes
and then
live.
On their website too, it's got like if you sign up for the event, then you'll know when it's on. You can see the replays, and it links you to the group too.
Perfect. Yeah,
you're in there, and you can do that, and you can learn to love sales.
Yeah, awesome.
Challenging and scary, but I'm there now. I'm good.
Well, and I feel like yes, it's about sales, but I feel like you could apply a lot of what you're going to talk about to all aspects of life. So if anyone's intrigued, they should show up and be there and hang out. And if they have any questions, go ahead and pop them in the comments. If you're watching this on the replay, hashtag replay. That just cracks me up. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll be back soon.
Yay. Bye.